Riya's footsteps echoed on the sidewalk as she walked toward the cafe. A light breeze played with her hair, but all she could feel was the tight knot in her stomach. Her heart pounded faster with every step. She checked her phone for the third time. There were still a few minutes left, but time seemed to be racing ahead of her. Excitement and nervousness mixed together. It was a date, but not just any date. It was a date in English. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her mind, but the thoughts kept rushing in like a flood. What if I forget the words? What if he says something I don't understand? What do I do? She closed her eyes for a moment and tried to focus. Then, she started rehearsing in her head. Okay, when I get there, I'll say,
"Hi, Alex."
"Nice to meet you." Then he'll probably ask something. Maybe, "How are you?" And I'll answer, "I'm fine." And you? But what if he asks something different? "How's your day going?" Could she answer the same way? What if he used an expression she had never heard before? The nervous feeling in her stomach grew stronger. The more she thought about it, the more the words jumbled in her mind. She knew English. She had watched movies without subtitles, taken courses, practiced alone. But now, in real life, without the option to pause or repeat, everything felt different. Just a few steps away from the cafe, she stopped for a moment and looked at the glass door. Inside, people were chatting effortlessly, laughing, drinking coffee, living their lives without having to think about speaking English. And there she was, rehearsing basic phrases as if it were a test. She took a deep breath. Okay, Riya, you can do this. Lifting her chin, adjusting her clothes, she took one last deep breath and pushed the cafe door open. The little bell above rang, announcing her arrival. There was no turning back now. The smell of fresh coffee and baked bread filled the air, blending with the soft hum of conversations and the clinking of cups. Riya glanced around. Alex wasn't there yet.
Good.
A little extra time to calm down. She took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, trying to settle her nerves. But then, a new realization hit her. She had to order something in English. She walked up to the counter, ran a hand through her hair, and tried to look natural. There were a few people ahead of her in line, giving her a few precious seconds to rehearse. Okay, what do I want?
Coffee.
Simple. I want a coffee.
No, wait.
Better say, I'd like a coffee. Sounds more polite. The line moved forward. She swallowed hard. Now it was her turn. Hi. I'd like a coffee. The barista gave her a friendly smile and nodded. Sure. Black or with milk? Riya's smile froze. Black? With milk. She knew what it meant, of course, but she hadn't practiced this part. She wasn't prepared for this question. Her brain scrambled for an answer, but it felt like the words were sinking in quicksand. Black, that's plain coffee. With milk, that's what I usually drink. So,
black.
the barista gave a quick nod and started preparing the order. Riya let out a sigh of relief. But something felt off. It wasn't until she had the cup in her hands that she realized her mistake. The coffee was pure. No milk. Strong and dark. She stared at the steaming liquid and tried to hide the look of panic on her face.
Great.
Now I actually have to drink this. She glanced around, hoping to spot some sugar or maybe a straw. Anything that could save her. But before she could react, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. Hey, Riya. Her heart jumped at the sound of Alex's voice. She turned quickly, almost spilling the coffee she didn't even want. Alex was there, taller than she had imagined, with a relaxed smile, as if this date was the most natural thing in the world. "Nice to meet you," he said, cheerful. Riya blinked, trying to remember what she had practiced. Her brain felt slow, but somehow the words came out. "Nice to meet you too." She smiled back, relieved that she had nailed the first interaction. But the tension returned when Alex gestured toward a table by the window. "Let's sit?" She nodded and followed him, feeling like every step was taking her deeper into unknown territory. They sat down, and for a brief moment, there was silence. Alex fiddled with a napkin and glanced at her cup. "So, do you like coffee?" Riya felt a knot in her stomach. She wanted to sound natural, but the truth was, she didn't even like black coffee. Maybe this was a chance to break the ice.
I
I like coffee, but I don't like this coffee." Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "Too strong?"
Yes.
"Too strong." She laughed too, feeling a little more at ease. At least he understood her. "What do you like to drink then?" Riya took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts before answering. "I love tea." As soon as she said it, she felt something was off. Alex raised an eyebrow slightly, waiting for her to continue. That's when it hit her. "I love tea." But if she was talking about a specific drink, wouldn't it be better to say, "I love it"? I mean, I love it.
Tea.
Alex smiled. "Oh, I see. You love tea." She nodded, feeling her face heat up. Why did this feel so difficult? "Yes, I love it." Alex didn't seem to notice her nervousness. He casually picked up the menu and asked, "Do you like traveling?" Riya perked up a little. This was a topic she actually enjoyed. "Yes, I love it." She realized she had said it correctly this time and smiled to herself.
Cool.
"Where have you been?" Riya hesitated for a second. It was one of those questions that seemed easy but required a bit more effort. She tried to remember the correct structure. I went to Spain and France." Alex smiled in agreement, intrigued. "That's awesome. Did you like it?" "Yes, very beautiful places." She knew she could have answered in a more detailed way, but at least the conversation was flowing. For the first time since she had arrived, she felt like she was starting to relax. Riya could feel her tension slowly fading away. The conversation with Alex was flowing more naturally now, and she was starting to realize she didn't need to translate every word in her head. He gestured as he spoke, enthusiastically describing his hometown. "So, where are you from?" Riya asked, leaning in slightly, genuinely interested in his answer. "I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Have you ever been there?" She smiled, shaking her head. "No, never. But I want to go one day." "You should. It's an amazing place. We have great beaches, cool cafes, and crazy weather." Riya frowned slightly, a little confused. "Crazy weather?"
Yeah.
"One day it's sunny, the next day it's raining, and sometimes it feels like all seasons in one day." She laughed, feeling more at ease. "That's interesting." This time, the phrase came out effortlessly. For the first time, she didn't have to think before speaking. "And what about you? Where are you from?" She took a deep breath, happy to answer a question she knew well. "I'm from India." Alex's eyes lit up with interest. "Oh, India. That's amazing. I've never been there, but I'd love to visit. She smiled, feeling a small sense of pride. You should. We have great food, beautiful places, and crazy traffic. They both laughed, and Alex nodded in agreement. I've heard that. So tell me, what's your favorite Indian food? She hesitated for a second. How could she explain something so typical without switching to Hindi? But this time, she decided to trust what she already knew. Well, I love biryani. It's, rice with a lot of spices and chicken. Oh, I love spicy food. What else? She smiled, her confidence growing. We also have butter chicken. It's creamy, with a rich tomato sauce. Very good. Alex looked impressed. Okay, now I really need to go to India. Riya laughed. For the first time, she wasn't focused on the fear of making mistakes, but on the joy of the conversation itself. English was no longer an obstacle. It was simply a way to connect with someone. Riya was really starting to feel comfortable now. The weight of nervousness had faded, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. She laughed when Alex told her about a friend who had tried cooking for the first time and nearly set the kitchen on fire.
Oh,
That reminds me of something funny, Riya said excitedly, not even realizing she was speaking in English without thinking. Alex smiled, intrigued. Really?
tell me.
She gestured with her hands, trying to organize the story in her head before speaking. So, one time I was very hungry. I wanted to eat fast, so I killed the food. Alex's smile froze for a second. You what? I killed the food. Riya repeated confidently. He blinked, confused, then suddenly burst into laughter. Wait, do you mean you burned the food? Riya froze, feeling her face heat up.
Yes.
I burned the food. Now they were both laughing. Riya covered her face, feeling a mix of embarrassment and relief. Oh no, that was so bad. No, that was amazing, Alex said, still laughing. Killed means you know to end something's life. Riya sighed and shook her head, laughing at herself. Oh, I see. I burned the food, not killed it. Exactly. But honestly, I like your version better. She laughed, feeling lighter. She had made a mistake, but instead of being a disaster, it turned into a fun moment. That's funny. It was. And now you'll never forget the difference. She nodded, still smiling.
Yeah.
Speaking English isn't just about words, it's about connecting. And at that moment, she realized she was learning more than just a language. She was learning to let herself make mistakes and keep going. Time had passed without Riya even noticing. The conversation had been so easy, so natural, that she could hardly believe this was the same date that, just hours ago, had made her so nervous. She looked at the empty cup in front of her and smiled. Even with a few mistakes, a couple of pauses, and moments of doubt, she had done it. She had spoken, laughed, shared stories, and most importantly, she had connected. Alex reached for his wallet and looked at her with a warm smile. I had a great time. Riya felt a warmth in her chest. Me too. Let's meet again? She didn't need to think before answering. Yes. I'd love to. They got up and walked together toward the cafe's exit. The cool breeze hit Riya's face as she took a deep breath, feeling lighter than ever. See you soon, Riya. She waved, without fear of making mistakes, without fear of not understanding. See you soon, Alex. As he walked away, something clicked inside her. At first, she had thought speaking English was all about getting every word right, avoiding mistakes, being perfect. But it wasn't. It was about allowing herself to stumble, to learn, to move forward, and most of all, to connect with people. If she could do it, anyone could. Now, tell me, what was your favorite phrase from today's story? Drop it in the comments. If this story helped you even a little, imagine how many more could teach you something new. So before you go, make sure you won't miss the next one. Like this video so more people can learn, and subscribe to the channel to keep growing on this journey with me. Who knows what your next story in English will be?